Imagine this. You step into a diner on a quiet street, a place you've passed by countless times. The bell above the door rings as you walk in, and the familiar sights and sounds fill your senses. The clattering of plates, the sizzle of food on the grill, and the constant chatter of customers engaging in their meals create a lively, almost comforting atmosphere. But as you glance around, something doesn't seem quite right. The usual hum of energy that you would expect from a busy diner is missing. Instead, there's an odd tension in the air. The staff, usually upbeat and energetic, is moving quickly, almost too quickly, their faces lined with stress and frustration. The pace of the place feels hurried, as if everyone is running around trying to catch up but can't quite keep up with the demands. The usual buzz of the restaurant seems strained, and it's clear that something deeper is at play. If you were just a regular customer, you might assume that it's just another busy day, that the staff is tired from a long shift, or that maybe the kitchen is a bit backed up. But what if you had the ability to see everything from a different angle? What if you could truly understand what was happening behind the scenes? This is exactly the scenario for one very famous and surprisingly humble CEO, Keanu Reeves. Yes, you read that right. The same Keanu Reeves we all know from The Matrix and John Wick, a star whose public persona is defined by his cool, calm demeanor and down-to-earth nature. In this unexpected twist, Keanu steps into his own diner incognito, blending in with the crowd in order to get a first-hand look at the operations behind the scenes. This undercover mission isn't about uncovering hidden scandals or corporate mismanagement. It's about truly understanding what's happening in the diner he's built, what challenges his staff is facing, and how he can help turn things around. As Keanu walks through the entrance and into the midst of the restaurant, he is immediately struck by the atmosphere. The usual warm, inviting energy that should come from a bustling diner is nowhere to be found. Instead, there's a subtle but undeniable feeling of chaos. The staff, though hard-working, seem frazzled, their movements hurried, and their interactions with each other lack the smooth flow that is typically a hallmark of a well-run operation. The manager is barking orders, but there's no real sense of calm leadership. The cooks are scrambling to keep up with orders, but there's a visible lack of coordination, and it's clear that the kitchen is overwhelmed. Plates are taking longer than usual, and there's a palpable sense of frustration in the air. The worst part? It's not just the kitchen that's struggling. The waitstaff, usually cheerful and efficient, are visibly stressed. There are moments of confusion when orders are mixed up, and the tension between the kitchen and the waitstaff is growing. You can almost see the gears grinding to a halt as the frustration builds. Even though the staff is working hard, there's something missing, something fundamental that ties the operation together. The quality of the food is slipping, and it's only a matter of time before customers start to notice. The atmosphere, instead of being filled with the usual charm of a busy diner, now feels heavy, almost suffocating. Keanu takes it all in from his quiet vantage point, his calm eyes watching the chaos unfold. He notices the little things that aren't immediately apparent to anyone else. The way the waitstaff is constantly running around, rarely stopping to communicate with each other. The confusion over orders that seems to be eating away at the rhythm of the kitchen. The way employees are on edge, their faces tense, barely managing a smile for the customers. He knows without a doubt that something needs to change. The diner that he's poured his heart into, the one that should be thriving as a symbol of good food and good service, is instead struggling to stay afloat. What Keanu realizes quickly is that the problems are not just about the staff's workload or a busy shift. There's a deeper issue at play. The team is fractured. They're working hard, but they aren't working together. They're all in their own worlds, each person handling their part of the operation without much regard for the larger picture. There's a lack of leadership, and without that guidance, everything is starting to unravel. In this moment, Keanu knows that he can't just stand by and watch. He doesn't need to pull out his CEO card or throw his weight around to fix this. Instead, he does what he does best. He steps in quietly and humbly to understand the situation firsthand. He walks up to the manager, who's frantically trying to keep up with the pressure, and offers a hand. "I can help with the orders," Keanu says, his voice calm but steady. The manager looks at him, confused but too overwhelmed to protest. Without skipping a beat, Keanu starts helping, jumping into the fray of the kitchen and the dining room. Keanu's presence in the diner is like a breath of fresh air. He doesn't demand attention, but rather, he leads by example. He pitches in with the kitchen staff, helping to prepare food and even takes a few orders. It's clear to everyone around him that he's not trying to take over, but rather to support them in their moment of need. Slowly, the chaos starts to subside. The kitchen begins to flow more smoothly. The staff starts communicating more effectively, and orders are starting to move out at a faster pace. Keanu's calm, steady leadership, though understated, is doing exactly what the diner needs. It's giving the staff a sense of direction, a sense of purpose. Through Keanu's quiet actions, the energy of the entire diner starts to shift. The staff begins to relax, their once rigid movements becoming more fluid and confident. The tension that once hung in the air dissipates, replaced by a new sense of camaraderie. The food is coming out on time, the customers are receiving their orders with a smile, and for the first time in a long while, the diner feels like it's on the path to recovery. Keanu Reeves, the Undercover CEO, has done more than just fix an operational problem. He's helped transform the environment. By quietly stepping in and offering his support, he has created a space where the staff can thrive. They can now work together, communicate effectively, and find joy in their work again. And in doing so, Keanu has done what no flashy CEO or outsider intervention could ever achieve. He's built a culture of collaboration and trust, the very foundation on which success can thrive. As Keanu walks through the kitchen doors, he is immediately hit by the tension in the air. It's subtle, but it's there, a thick undercurrent of pressure that weighs heavily on everyone in the space. The kitchen, usually a well-oiled machine, in any restaurant, feels more like a ticking time bomb. The hustle of chefs, waitstaff, and managers trying to make it through the rush is palpable, but there's something off about it. Keanu doesn't have to say a word to understand the situation. It's written all over the faces of the employees. It's the type of chaotic energy that comes from being overwhelmed and not knowing how to manage it. There's the manager, a man with a furrowed brow, barking orders with a quickness that's both frantic and disconnected. His words come out in short, clipped commands, but they don't seem to be making much of an impact. It's clear he's trying to juggle multiple tasks at once, refereeing between the kitchen and the waitstaff, taking inventory and managing customers. But his efforts come off as more reactive than proactive. He's constantly running from one thing to the next, never stopping to assess the bigger picture. The sense of urgency in his voice might fool an outsider into thinking he's in control, but to Keanu's experienced eyes, it's obvious that the manager is drowning. The cooks, working double time, are clearly struggling to keep up with the flood of orders coming in. The grill is sizzling, the fryer's popping, and yet there's no rhythm to the madness. Pots and pans are clanging, and the air is thick with the smell of overcooked meat. The chefs are moving fast, but there's no coordination, no real teamwork. A couple of them seem lost in their own heads, barely communicating with one another. Orders are getting mixed up, dishes are being sent out too late, and some are even being sent back to the kitchen. Keanu notices how each of them is working hard, but it's as if their efforts aren't being channeled into anything productive. There's no clear direction, and it's taking a toll on them, physically and mentally. The strain is evident in the way they wipe their brows, glance at the clock, and try to power through it all without showing how exhausted they are. The waitstaff, too, is feeling the burn. They're scrambling to deliver food, keep customers happy, and handle complaints all at the same time. Their faces are painted with exhaustion, heavy eyes, tired smiles, and a general sense of being stretched too thin. One waitress is running past him looking flustered, her hands full with plates and her brow furrowed in a mixture of stress and determination. Another waitress is trying to handle a customer's complaint, but her tone is frazzled, almost defensive, and it's clear she's not listening to the customer as much as she's trying to get through the conversation without breaking down. Keanu catches a brief exchange where a customer is frustrated with the wait time, and the waitress, though polite, barely hides her own frustration. It's a vicious cycle. The customers aren't getting the service they expect, the food is taking too long, and the staff's morale is plummeting with each passing minute. Keanu can hear snippets of conversation, staff members venting to each other as they move through the chaos. "I can't take much more of this," one says under their breath. "Why does it always have to be so crazy?" Another sighs. "We're never going to make it through the rush like this." The energy is tense, stressed, and suffocating. Keanu can feel it creeping into the very walls of the diner. This is no longer a place of joy or community. It's a battleground where exhaustion and frustration rule. Standing in the shadows of the kitchen, Keanu takes it all in. He doesn't say a word, doesn't make himself known. Instead, he observes. It's not just about the kitchen being behind on orders or the waitstaff being overwhelmed, it's deeper than that. There's a fundamental breakdown in communication. No one is really working as a team. The cooks aren't communicating with each other. The waitstaff isn't relaying messages to the kitchen, and the manager is too caught up in micromanaging the immediate issues to see the larger problem. Everyone is just running in circles, trying to fix immediate problems without taking a step back to address the bigger picture. Keanu's eyes narrow as he watches. He sees that while his employees are putting in long hours and working hard, they're not working smart. There's no clear leadership guiding them, no clear vision or direction. Everyone is caught in the frantic energy of trying to survive the day. The staff is doing the best they can, but without guidance they're running on empty, burning themselves out with no clear path forward. The most concerning thing, though, is the low morale. Keanu notices how the employees avoid eye contact with one another, how they seem to be pulling away rather than coming together. There's no sense of pride in their work, no feeling of ownership or teamwork. Everyone is just trying to make it through the shift. When Keanu looks at the faces of his staff, he can tell they feel like they're stuck. The diner, a place he built from the ground up, should be a place where people feel proud to work, where they can contribute to something bigger than themselves. But here it's clear that his staff feels like they're barely surviving, not thriving. Keanu knows that fixing the diner's operations isn't just about addressing the logistical issues, it's about fixing the environment. The energy in this space is suffocating. It's no wonder that the staff is running on empty both physically and emotionally. He realizes that if he doesn't step in and make some big changes soon, this diner could fall apart. He's not just seeing the strain of a busy day, he's seeing a deeper, more systemic issue that has been building for a while. If he doesn't do something, all of their hard work will eventually crumble. Keanu stands still, reflecting on what he's seeing. He knows he can't just let the situation continue without intervention. Something has to change. The environment has to shift, from one of chaos and stress to one of collaboration and support. He knows what needs to be done. He has to guide his staff, help them reconnect with their work and rebuild the foundation of teamwork that will turn this diner around. But the question is, how does he do that? And more importantly, how does he do it in a way that will actually make a lasting difference not just for the diner, but for the people who depend on it every day? Keanu realizes the first step is to change the way the team works together. Only then will they be able to see the bigger picture, solve the small problems, and restore the energy of the diner to what it should be, a place of community, collaboration, and pride. Keanu has always been known for his humility and his quiet strength, qualities that have shaped his public image for years. But today, he's about to put those qualities to the test in a way he never expected. As he watches the chaos unfold, in the kitchen it becomes clear that the diner isn't just facing a busy day. It's facing a deep-rooted issue that only someone who understands the value of leadership and teamwork can fix. Keanu doesn't waste time observing from the sidelines. Instead, he quietly steps forward, offering his help without fanfare or grand gestures. The manager, who has been darting around the kitchen in a frantic attempt to juggle 100 different tasks, looks over at Keanu in confusion. His face is drawn tight with stress and his voice, sharp from constantly barking orders, fades for just a moment. "What are you doing here?" the manager asks, clearly thrown off by the calm demeanor of the man standing before him. "I can take some of those orders off your hands," Keanu says, his voice calm and steady. He doesn't wait for a response, just steps forward and takes a few of the order tickets from the manager's hands. There's no hesitation in Keanu's actions, no need to explain himself or make a big deal about it. He's simply there to help, and his willingness to get his hands dirty in the middle of the action speaks volumes. The manager, who's already running on fumes and struggling to keep things afloat, is too overwhelmed to question him further. Without another word, he hands over the tickets, grateful for any assistance at this point. Keanu doesn't need to be told what to do. He knows exactly what's required. After all, this isn't about stepping in to take control or to overshadow the team. It's about working with them, doing the work alongside them and showing them that no task is too small, no role too insignificant. In this moment, Keanu isn't just an actor or a celebrity. He's simply a fellow worker, a colleague, trying to help make things right. Keanu walks over to the kitchen counter, where the cooks are hurriedly working, their movements more frantic than precise. He joins them without drawing attention to himself, quietly observing the rhythm of the kitchen. The air is thick with stress. The heat of the grill and the constant hum of the fryer add to the feeling of suffocation that's been growing in the room. The cooks are scrambling, moving from one task to another, but their actions lack coordination. There's no real flow to their work. Plates are getting mixed up, orders are falling behind, and the frustration is beginning to mount. But Keanu doesn't dive into the chaos with a sense of urgency. Instead, he watches carefully, letting the staff get used to his presence. His calm and measured movements provide a stark contrast to the frenetic pace around him. He doesn't shout or demand attention. He simply rolls up his sleeves and quietly joins in. He begins helping with the preparation of dishes, chopping vegetables, and assembling plates. Every movement is purposeful but unassuming, and slowly, something starts to shift. The staff begins to notice Keanu's quiet energy. At first, it's subtle, just a brief glance, a raised eyebrow, as they realize he's not just watching, he's helping. And it's clear that his actions are starting to make a difference. The cooks begin to settle into a rhythm. The frantic rush of trying to get food out as quickly as possible starts to soften into something more manageable. Communication between the kitchen staff improves as Keanu effortlessly steps in to fill the gaps. His presence is like a steady anchor amidst the storm of orders and deadlines. It's as if his calmness is contagious, spreading through the team, and soon, the chaotic energy in the kitchen starts to give way to something more productive. Keanu doesn't need to say much. He doesn't issue orders or criticize anyone's work. Instead, his actions speak louder than anything he could say. When he notices a cook struggling with a dish, he steps in to help without making a big deal out of it. He doesn't hover or take control. He simply offers support in the most subtle way. His leadership doesn't come from dictating orders. It comes from showing the staff that they're not alone, that they're part of a team, and that they have the strength to get through the rush together. The change is gradual but noticeable. The staff starts to communicate more effectively. They begin to help each other out, covering each other's backs and picking up the slack when needed. The frantic energy that once filled the kitchen starts to dissipate. The cooks are no longer working in isolation. They're working together. The waitstaff, seeing the kitchen begin to settle into a rhythm, finds their pace too. The tension starts to ease, and what was once a battlefield of orders and complaints is now a smoother operation, running more efficiently than before. The entire vibe of the kitchen begins to shift, from one of chaos to one of controlled productivity. Keanu's subtle leadership is doing what no manager or training program could. It's bringing the staff together. It's giving them the confidence to communicate and work as a team. His calm energy acts as a stabilizing force, allowing the staff to take a breath, step back, and find their groove. The kitchen, once in disarray, now operates with purpose. The frantic energy shifts into something more manageable, and the staff begins to realize that it's not just about working harder, it's about working smarter. As the hours tick by, the once chaotic kitchen now moves with a rhythm that is almost effortless. Plates are coming out on time, orders are getting filled correctly, and the customers are happy. Keanu stands back for a moment, watching the staff in action. The kitchen is still busy, but now there's an air of efficiency to it, something that was missing earlier. The change is subtle but powerful. Keanu's presence, though quiet, has been the catalyst for this transformation. It wasn't about forceful leadership or dramatic actions. It was about leading by example, showing that hard work, humility, and a calm demeanor can change everything. For Keanu, it's a small step. But for the staff, it's a huge shift. They no longer feel alone in their struggle. They're not just trying to survive the rush. They're working together to make it through. And that, Keanu knows, is the true power of leadership. It's not about making the loudest noise. It's about offering the steady presence that allows others to rise above the chaos and find their way back to success. By the end of the day, Keanu has witnessed a complete transformation, one that he knows will not only have an immediate impact, but will shape the future of the diner in ways no one could have anticipated. What began as a stressful, chaotic environment has shifted into something entirely more harmonious. As the dinner rush winds down and the last few orders are completed, Keanu stands back, quietly observing the results of the changes he's quietly set in motion. The kitchen, once a whirlwind of confusion, now operates with a calm purpose. The cooks, who were earlier overwhelmed and scattered, are now moving with precision and coordination, working in sync with each other. There's a rhythm to their actions, a steady beat that allows the orders to flow in and out seamlessly. The frantic energy has been replaced with a quiet confidence, and the kitchen feels like a well-oiled machine. No one is rushing. Everyone knows their role and is executing it with ease. The waitstaff, who had been scrambling to manage the increasing pressure, is no longer disjointed in their communication. They've started to sync up with the kitchen, relaying orders efficiently and accurately. They no longer run around in a panic or struggle with getting information across to the kitchen. Instead, they calmly communicate what's needed, and the kitchen responds in turn. The food is flowing out at the right pace now, hot, fresh, and exactly what the customers ordered. The once heavy atmosphere of frustration has lifted, replaced with one of cooperation. Customers are noticing the difference too. The food arrives on time and the service feels smooth and responsive. What once was a tense, almost unbearable dining experience is now transformed into one of ease and enjoyment. The energy of the diner has changed from one of survival to one of success. The staff is happier, the pace feels manageable, and the customers are thrilled to be part of the newfound positive energy that surrounds the diner. As Keanu watches everything unfold, he doesn't just see a successful turnaround of operations. He sees the power of leadership, humility, and teamwork in action. It's not about the dramatic gestures or heroic acts that he's used to playing in movies. It's the small, consistent actions that build trust and cohesion. His quiet approach has led to the biggest change of all. The staff, once overwhelmed and isolated in their roles, now feels valued, supported, and motivated. They no longer feel like they're just cogs in a machine, working to meet impossible demands. Instead, they feel like they are part of a team, and that sense of unity has brought them the clarity and focus they needed to succeed. Keanu knows that in the grand scheme of things, that feeling of belonging is the most important shift. It's the foundation of everything that makes a business thrive, and it's something that no amount of training can replace. The impact of Keanu's leadership is subtle, but it's undeniable. He hasn't given a single dramatic speech or micromanaged anyone. He hasn't imposed strict rules or demanded perfection. Instead, he's created an environment where his staff can thrive, where they feel confident enough to work together, to communicate, and to trust each other. That's the key to the diner's success. It's not about one person leading with force. It's about creating an environment where everyone can lead together. And in this case, Keanu's quiet example has proven that the greatest leaders are those who allow others to shine. Still, as he stands there, watching the diners enjoy their meals and the staff move smoothly through the final hours of the evening, Keanu knows that this is only the beginning. He's not done yet. The changes that have happened today are important, but they're only a first step toward what he knows the diner can become. It's clear that the staff is now more connected, more aware of how their individual roles play into the larger success of the diner. But Keanu also understands that it takes more than just one good day to change the culture of a place. There's still work to be done. There's still an opportunity to deepen the trust, to further hone the teamwork, and to continue to improve the processes that keep the diner running smoothly. Keanu isn't under the illusion that the challenges are over. He knows they'll face new hurdles in the days to come. But he's confident that the foundation he's helped build is strong enough to face whatever comes next. As Keanu quietly steps back into the shadows of the kitchen, content to watch the progress unfold, he reflects on the steps that led him here. It's not just the technical side of operations that has changed, it's the environment itself. The diner has gone from a place of tension and stress to one of collaboration and support. The staff has been given the tools they need to succeed, and more importantly, they've been shown the value of their contributions. The feeling of ownership, of pride in their work, is something that can't be bought. It has to be nurtured. Keanu knows that this is a process, and though it's only the beginning, it's a significant step in the right direction. He feels a quiet sense of satisfaction as he watches the diner come back to life. He knows that, with the right guidance and the right environment, his diner can be the place it once was, and even better. The key is not in making big, sweeping changes. It's in understanding the people who make up the business, providing them with the support they need, and giving them the opportunity to succeed together. That's the difference between a place that merely survives and one that truly thrives. For now, Keanu is content to watch the success unfold from the sidelines. But in the future, he'll continue to guide his team with the same humility and quiet strength that made all the difference today. And with that, he knows that this diner has a bright future ahead of it. The next day, the atmosphere in the diner is electric with anticipation. The staff, still buzzing from the previous day's shift, is unsure of what to expect. There's a palpable sense of curiosity in the air, each person wondering what, if anything, will come of the subtle transformation they had experienced just hours before. They're still processing the fact that their chaotic day had shifted into a smooth operation. A change that seemed almost magical, but very real. Everyone has their own theories. Some wonder if a big corporate overhaul is coming. Others think the manager may have stepped in to fix things, but no one knows for sure. Everyone's on edge, their minds racing with questions as they gather in the break room for a meeting. Keanu, still in disguise, enters the room quietly. He stands at the front, his face hidden beneath a hood, offering a warm and welcoming smile to the group. The staff, still reeling from the events of the previous day, is too distracted to think much of it. They are still trying to piece together the mystery of the person who had helped them so much. No one expects the man standing before them to be anyone other than just another worker who was helping out in their time of need. Keanu's smile is reassuring, but there's a sense of mystery in the air as he lifts his hood and reveals his true identity. The room is struck silent. Gasps fill the space as the staff's eyes widen in shock. The man they had all worked alongside, the day before, the one who quietly stepped in to help, who offered no fanfare or dramatic gestures, was none other than Keanu Reeves himself. For a moment, no one moves, no one speaks. It's as though time has stopped. The staff is stunned. Many can barely believe it. The humble man who had been helping prepare the food, taking orders and doing the work without asking for anything in return, is none other than the famous actor and the diner's owner. They had no idea that the person who had so seamlessly blended in and earned their respect had been the one who was pulling the strings behind the scenes. They had thought he was just a kind soul who'd been visiting the diner. But this revelation changes everything. Keanu takes a deep breath, his calm demeanor never faltering. He stands before them, aware of the shock in their eyes, and begins to speak. His voice is steady, kind, and sincere as he starts to address the group. He begins by acknowledging the hard work and dedication each member of the team has shown, and how the struggles they've faced recently are not a reflection of their individual effort, but a result of a lack of proper support and guidance. Keanu talks about how vital it is for a team to work together, to treat each other with respect, and to foster a sense of community within the diner. He tells them that he's not there to micromanage or to issue commands from a position of power. "I'm not here to be a boss who barks orders," he says with a humble smile. "Instead, I'm here to lead by example, to be someone who's willing to roll up my sleeves and get involved just like everyone else." He continues, explaining that leadership isn't about authority or domination. It's about creating an environment where everyone feels valued and empowered to contribute their best. Keanu's words resonate deeply with the staff. For many of them, this is a wake-up call. They realize the importance of collaboration, of not just working for the paycheck, but working as a team with mutual respect. They understand that when they feel supported and respected, they can do their best work, not just for themselves, but for each other and for the customers. Keanu's leadership isn't about control. It's about nurturing and guiding the team toward a better way of working together. His quiet presence has already made a difference, and now, with his words, the team begins to see what true leadership looks like. There's a shift in their attitudes, a sense of accountability, a shared sense of purpose, and a desire to do better, not just for themselves, but for their fellow team members and the diner as a whole. The impact is immediate. The energy in the diner shifts from one of stress and frustration to one of collaboration and success. The staff feels motivated, empowered, and supported. They're no longer just doing their job to survive the day. They're doing it because they believe in the work they're doing and in the team they're a part of. As a result, the food quality rises, the service improves, and the atmosphere of the diner becomes one that customers can feel. The energy is different. It's no longer about getting through a shift. It's about creating an experience. The diner begins to gain a reputation for not just serving great food, but for providing excellent service. Service that feels authentic, warm, and grounded in a strong sense of teamwork. Word spreads and the diner starts to attract more customers who are drawn to the positive atmosphere. The staff is no longer burnt out. They're thriving, energized, and proud of the work they're doing. What Keanu had set out to do was not just to save the diner. It was to transform its culture, to make it a place that not only serves great food, but also fosters a sense of belonging and pride in everyone who works there. His undercover mission has done more than just improve the diner's operations. It has completely changed the atmosphere. The foundation of respect, teamwork, and humility he built into the team is what will sustain the diner's success moving forward. The story ends with a powerful message. Leadership doesn't always have to come in the form of loud commands or dramatic gestures. Sometimes the most effective leadership is the quiet presence of someone who is willing to get their hands dirty. To show by example what it means to work hard and work together, Keanu Reeves, without making a spectacle of himself, stepped in and made a difference by simply caring enough to be present, to listen, and to help. That's the type of leadership that truly transforms businesses, teams, and communities. And it's the type of leadership that changes everything. Keanu's quiet, humble approach had led to more than just a successful turnaround. It had created a culture that would continue to thrive for years to come. And that, perhaps, is the greatest success of all.